Not a light topic, I suppose, too.
No, but I
Yeah.
probably will also balance that off a little bit with how you started and then also a little bit of Hallmark.
This is my life. I know.
I'm sure that is.
Yeah.
Welcome to World of Soundtracks, a podcast where we explore storytelling aspects in films and TV through music. Whether it is comparing book adaptations, observing themes over a series, or microanalyzing the choice of instruments, we look at how the story is told and moves us. I am your host, Ruth Mudge, and today we have an interview with composer Mikel Hurwitz. Welcome to new and old listeners. My name is Ruth Mudge, cellist and private music teacher in the Chicago suburbs, and I have a deep love for soundtracks and storytelling. I'm very excited to be sharing this interview with Canadian composer Mikel Hurwitz today. In the past year, Mikel Hurwitz has written for and conducted the Hollywood Film Orchestra at Warner Brothers and the Costa Rican National Philharmonic with the Los Angeles Film Conductors Intensive. He also scored the feature documentary Soul of a Nation and has seen his music grace over 40 feature films on 6 continents. Mikel first appeared in the Toronto Star Age 2, playing drums in a toddler music class. From those early days at the Royal Conservatory piano bench to improvising on guitar as a teenager, Mikel's musical path has always been eclectic. At 15, he attended his first film scoring session and never looked back. After studies that took him eventually to the Berklee College of Music Film Scoring program, Mikel honed his craft in Los Angeles as Danny Elfman's synth programmer and assistant, while working on films like The Grinch, Dumbo, and Justice League. After contributing to music teams for major films, he fully launched his own composing career, scoring award-winning documentaries and series like the Gentified Digital series, which was picked up by Netflix at the Sundance Film Festival, as well as many Hallmark movies. Now based in Toronto with his wife, pianist Irina Bazik, and their 2 children, Mikel continues to blend orchestral and electronic worlds, bringing a unique voice to the global film music stage. In this interview, one of the main focuses is on the documentary Soul of a Nation, which you can rent or buy on Apple, that focuses on the complex and divisive politics of Israel, especially in the year leading up to the Hamas hostage situation. This is not to be confused with the documentary Soul of a Nation on Disney+, which is on a completely different topic. While the main focus is on the music and instruments that help to tell the story, we do cover some of the moments in the documentary in detail. I'm fully aware that this is a sensitive subject, but hopefully nothing too graphic. We also talk about Mikel's composing journey, as well as writing for over 30 Hallmark movies in the past few years, including Lost in Paradise that just aired this January. I hope you enjoy this interview as much as I did. Let's get started.
Sure,
Welcome to World of Soundtracks.
Thank you for having me.
My first question that I ask everybody is, what was your first soundtrack?
It's a strange one because I love James Horner and knowing his more substantial work, I guess, afterwards. But the first soundtrack that grabbed me was his Field of Dreams soundtrack. And I just completely fell in love.
Field of Dreams.
Yeah, believe it or not. So knowing like Avatar and knowing a ton of James Horner's more substantial work, I guess you could say, in his career, Field of Dreams was the first one that grabbed me. I had it on VHS when I was a kid, and I watched that movie a million times, and I was obsessed with baseball as a kid, and well, kind of still am. And there was just something about the magic and the space in that score, and it just was so emotionally present. And I think it was the first time that I really saw a movie and felt a movie and realized, like, wait a second, the music is doing so much work here emotionally.
Yeah.
It was a cool revelation for sure. Yeah.
That's awesome. So then fast forwarding years later, you've gotten to work then on 2 different baseball projects, essentially, right? I know one of them was more of a Hallmarky one, and the other one was it more like a short? Was that right?
Wait, I'm blanking. Which is the Hallmark baseball one?
Did I read that right?
Hallmarks.
Home turf?
Oh, that's football.
Football. I'm sorry. I'm not a sports person.
It's okay. It's okay.
A sports one.
It's a sports one. It is a sports one. Yeah, I guess they did the baseball short in 2015, which I kind of consider actually my first real score. I recorded a live big band for the score, and it went to festivals, and it did a thing,
Yeah.
won some awards, and it was a really sweet story about a Canadian pitcher who won 2 World Series and then sort of quit at the top of his career and went to med school and became the Blue Jays doctor for 40 years. So yeah, it's pretty neat.
That is pretty cool. That's a nice way of starting off your career with something that really inspired you from the get-go.
It's funny. I never made that connection, but there you go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you do a lot of writing in school? Did you go to school for film composing?
I went to Berkeley I did their film scoring program there. I'd say before that, I was just playing a heck of a lot, playing keyboards in every kind of configuration that you can imagine. And was always sort of like, I played clarinets in orchestras growing up. So I kind of had my foot in 2 worlds of the sort of like jazz thing and with the keyboard world and like clarinet family and the orchestral world. And then sort of like when I got into Berkeley is when I started getting kind of obsessed with like score study and more orchestral work and just, studying the greats.
Sure.
Kind of thing.
My understanding is that you are a technical scoring assistant for Danny Elfman. Is that true?
I was.
What does that mean?
It's a strange title. It's a strange title, and it kind of means nothing.
Okay.
It means nothing, but I did everything.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to have a title.
Yeah. No, my work for Danny was, I certainly like dealt with the whole technical side of the film scoring process, be it anything from like running his computer rigs to setting up his templates, making sure everything was running smoothly in the project and files were moving in the right places. And then once that was sort of locked down, which, after about a year or 2 of the job, I kind of figured out a decent way to make that happen. And, we could sleep at night and, not pull all-nighters and stuff.
Yeah.
I would say after that, I started to get sort of trusted with more creative tasks, I guess. Like developing sounds and doing orchestrations and filling in some holes in different cues on a conform and different little sort of things here and there to kind of help in the process. Yeah.
That's cool.
But it's certainly a strange title.
Yeah. Well, there's always different titles, and some of them I go, okay, I know what that is. But that one, I was like, I have no idea what that means.
I always considered myself more of a synth programmer than anything, to be honest. Like that's how I started with him. I started developing like contact instruments, which is taking samples and sort of recordings, say of orchestras that he would do at the end of an orchestral session that maybe he would have 5 minutes to spare if he was lucky, and he would go and like record the orchestra doing sort of these wild textures. So he had a collection of these things or these recordings, and he wanted to be able to use them in, when he was creating a new cue on a new show. So he wanted them in like a piece of software called Contact. Essentially, it's like mapping those recordings to the keyboard and being able to manipulate them in different ways to make them interesting. So that's kind of how I started with him, and I kept doing that along the way as I kind of got trusted with other tasks.
Sure. Is there a program that you really enjoy using yourself? Because you have a lot of different synths and different things, obviously in Soul of a Nation.
Yeah.
And then I think most of your Hallmark stuff is not actually recorded instruments. Is that correct?
Well, believe it or not, some of it is.
Okay.
I've kind of made a push with myself in the last 2 years or so. I've gotten really bored of MIDI.
Sure.
And I've been just trying to play as just myself because I don't have time or budget to really hire too many people on these smaller Hallmark budgets. But I've been really making the push to just like incorporate as many live instruments as possible. So I'm playing all the guitars and the drum kit and everything. So like if there's sense. So there was a film about Greece that we did. So I bought a bouzouki, I learned basic bouzouki and then played that, you know what I mean? Instead of doing the MIDI thing. But in terms of the program that I'm liking, I use Pro Tools. I use a program called Digital Performer, which is like an oldie but goodie. I kind of, in a way, I don't really think it matters what program you're using at the end of the day. Whatever you know best, and
Absolutely.
whatever you're good at and quick at, and just don't have to think much about.
Which
And
at
can
this
leave
point, you
them.
probably have a good idea of what sounds you can have and what you can create and what you want to do.
Yeah.
That probably makes your life a lot easier.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would say that any program these days, really, like whether it's like any of the big DAWs, like Ableton or Cubase or Pro Tools, whatever it is, it's like it's sort of all about the creativity that you put into it to make it not sound like the program itself.
Yeah.
Make it sound like music.
Yes. Because that's what you want people to be drawn into, the emotion of the story or different things like that, and not try to analyze, oh, that's a synthesizer doing this kind of thing most
Oh,
of the time.
100%. Or the worst is when, it's a nerdy thing, but the worst is when you're hearing usually it happens in like kids shows. I have two kids, so I hear a lot of kid shows around the house. And I'll be like, oh man, they're using that Hollywood Winds sample too much on the score. Like you'll recognize a sample and you're like, oh, I know how they did that. Like,
right.
Okay. Yeah.
It's too funny. But then it totally makes sense, especially unfortunately with kids shows, because that's probably the easiest and cheapest way to do it. But then you're used to going like, oof.
It's a quick win, right? Certain things like this. And I certainly don't like having done the volume of shows that I've done, I think, in this sort of time frame. I certainly don't shame any composer anymore
absolutely.
at all for taking quick wins.
Yeah.
Various levels of notes and processes along the way, however you can get to getting things approved and making things pop out as well as they can. I'm all for it.
Yeah. So, yeah. No, that totally makes sense. About Soul of a Nation, I was curious, how did you get the project? How did you get involved with it?
It's the classic story, friend of a friend.
Yes, networking.
Yeah. One of my oldest friends in life moved to LA numerous years ago, I guess, at this point. And her daughter and son go to school with the daughter and son of a couple of filmmakers. And they've been trying to connect us for years. And they made the connection. And then, we kind of like nothing happened. And then I got a call. I was like, hey, we're doing this film. And we have very little budget and we think you'd be great. And it really just spiraled from there.
How early or late into the project were you brought into?
I was brought in, I guess, fairly late in a way. They already had a pretty advanced cut when I stepped in. It certainly wasn't like a locked cut yet, but it was really close. And all the temp music was done. And they did a really good job temping it. That's a whole other topic. I mean, the way that they temped the music really informed the way that I scored it. Obviously, like in the creative way, but just in the production value way as well. It made me sort of realize that we need to really up our ante here, and we need to get real orchestra for these really emotional moments, and we need to use real synthesizers and just as much organic stuff as possible to bring the emotion to the front. I mean, they tempt it with like Hans Zimmer and Trent Reznor and like just the real heavyweights of heavyweights, right? And my icons.
Yeah.
So it was also just this incredible experience and or I should say excuse more than anything else, an excuse to just do something that I've always wanted to do in a way. It was a good marriage, I would say.
And that's really neat that even with a smaller budget that they're willing to do a live orchestra, because that's not cheap.
It's not that cheap. We were strategic about it. We didn't do orchestra throughout. We picked, I would say, I think we did about 15 minutes of full orchestra and then about 10 additional minutes of
strings.
Yeah. So between that, we were able to sort of like parse out a couple things in different cues.
That makes sense. Use your brass for the big moments.
Exactly.
There's some really cool percussion moments too, which I really loved.
Which ones?
Fun. It was near the beginning.
I think the second track, I think.
Yeah, that's what it is. Fall Apart.
Yeah, that was a cool one. That's me playing a lot of percussion, and then
Oh, cool.
a friend of mine, my friend Vinx de Jean Parette, who is an incredible percussionist, was sort of a mentor for a while when I was younger, and he used to play with Sting in world tours,
Oh,
and just this is an
wow.
amazing guy. So
Yeah.
I've helped him out with various things along the way, and he's always been bugging me like whatever I can help you out with, and so finally I was like, okay.
Hey.
Um, here's a couple stems, like
Hmm.
replace my percussion and do what you can. So yeah, he did a great job on that too.
That's really awesome. How important was it to have the classical orchestra, which has that big effect, but then also have a few instruments that are more connected to the Jewish people? So you have more solo violin, you
Hmm.
have the oud. I'm
Hmm.
sure there's one or two other instruments that I just didn't pick out
Yeah,
right
no,
away.
for sure, for sure, for sure. Yeah, it's interesting because it lends itself to such a deeper discussion of Jewish identity,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And so much I find in the West, Jewish identity is Ashkenazi identity,
Right.
which is Jews with a European diasporic experience,
Hmm.
whereas in reality, like the majority of Israel, the Jews in Israel, let's say, is made up of Sephardic and Mizrahi Jews,
Right.
right, which are of Northern African and Middle Eastern diasporic
Hmm.
experience. Yeah. So what we kind of thought of was like, okay, let's try to represent the Ashkenazi in the solo violin.
Sure.
Let's try to represent the Sephardic and Mizrahi with the oud and
Yeah.
the doumbek, like
Yes. Okay.
yeah. And what we kind of tried to do also, I was trying to think of like a way that we could also historically, in a very ancient way, sort of tie things together. So I thought of the shofar, which is this, I'm not sure if you know, but it's the ram's horn, right?
Yeah.
And it's blown on high holidays. And it's, among many other things, it sort of symbolizes our connection between humans and the divine.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, how could this be used in a way that would be musical? It's really tricky because the shofar really only blows two pitches,
Sure.
maybe three if you
Yeah.
have the embouchure for it.
Uh-huh.
So what I did, speaking of sampling and Danny Elfman, like what I actually did was I sampled of myself playing the shofar, and then I mapped it out to a keyboard so I could play chords and manipulate those chords and play melodies. So that became, I thought, a bit of a glue of all these kind of different sort of quote unquote Jewish identity and and diasporic experiences, and like kind of tied together through this ancient and I guess religious sort of iconology, right? But played in a way that was like, oh, I can play like a really interesting pad that sits below this thing and is really emotional, or play a melody with our theme. And that became, I think that was maybe musically one of the more interesting parts of
Sure.
the sonic sort of landscape of the score.
Do you have a good example of which track might have something like that in there?
Yeah, right at the end of the first track,
Yeah.
that the melody, like as the sort of big orchestra sort of peters out,
Yeah.
there's like that melody that we hear at the end. It almost sounds like a French horn in a way.
Okay, I may have just recognized it as a French horn. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. And when it's played as melody, it's it's interesting. I play a little French horn, and what's interesting is the mouthpiece of the shofar is like very similar circumference to to a French horn's mouthpiece. It comes and goes throughout, but it has this beautiful but also like ethereal kind of quality to the sound.
Did you end up using or inspired by any specific melodies, like a Jewish melody? There was one or two moments it felt very chant-like it could have been something from something they could have had in their religious.
I mean, it's like in the DNA, to be honest. I kind of grew up with all this stuff, and like it was unconscious.
Yeah.
I didn't really reference anything specifically. I don't know how to answer that in another way. I wish that there was a more deliberate.
When you do grow up with something, and it is kind of that, sometimes you're not doing it consciously.
Yeah. And one thing Jonathan and I, like the director, would often talk about was sort of turning the emotion up or down,
right?
In various parts. And I remember did you see the film, by the way?
I did.
Or did you did? Okay.
I watched it last week.
In the disengagement section, like fairly close to the beginning in 2005, the disengagement from Gaza, the first version of that cue I thought was emotional.
Sure.
I thought it was. And Jonathan was like, no, you don't understand. This was a deep, horrible moment of suffering for Jews.
It was a lot of trauma.
A lot of trauma. And it's something that I don't think it's recognized in the Western world. I think it got sort of glossed over in a way.
Sure.
And he just told me, he's like, more emotion. Like, we want to try to just have people understand how traumatic this was. Like, there were bodies exhumed from graves. Think about that. And I don't think I had a good understanding of it either.
Sure. And
I think, going back and doing version 2 and version 3, and I think we finally got something that was tragic and beautiful.
Yeah.
And
it was very effective, for sure.
I think it's one of the more effective cues in the film, in a way.
Yeah. With your collaboration with the director, because obviously he has the big vision, right? Of course, we want more and we want less. It is a kind of film that it feels like it could just have a big trajectory as it goes throughout. Were you very conscious together and kind of bringing things down a little bit so you could have these ebbs and flows so you're not just gaining momentum the whole time?
Oh my God. That was the whole challenge of this thing, is because there was so much information in this movie. In some ways it's very academic, right? It's a very academic take on the sort of lead up to 10/7. There's so much information and there was so much music in the temp. And I don't mean underscore sort of bubbling along.
Sure, yeah, but background.
I mean music.
Yeah.
So it was really tricky to not just completely inundate the audience's poor brains.
Yeah.
And we were conscious of that. And because of that, I think we decided to cut a couple of cues. I pretty much scored this wall to wall. A couple of cues got cut, and it wasn't because they weren't working. It was just it was purely because of okay,
we need to breathe.
We need a break. We need a break. We just need to breathe. But it was tricky to know how to do that also, because it wasn't that film. This is quite a ride, as you know. And to go too far the other way, I don't feel it wouldn't have served the film.
No.
It was certainly a challenge. It was really a challenge to do. But to serve his vision, I was really just trying to make the best music that I could so that he could take it to the mix and do with it what was best for the film.
Absolutely. You have one, it's the Child Soldiers track with the voices. Were those children's voices, or was it actually just something that just sounded haunting, or it felt like it was overlapping?
That's a friend of mine. Yeah, okay. That's a friend of mine, Dragonette. And she's an incredible vocalist and writer, and she's amazing. So I kidnapped her for an hour and a half and brought her in to my session. And I had her do a couple things. She appears in a couple different spots in the film. I believe this was the only part that made it onto the soundtrack, though, this Child Soldiers cue. So I had her kind of imitate. Oddly enough, my note to her was Danny Elfman, Tim Burton movie. Yeah. And there was this creepy thing about it.
It was, it was very creepy, that's for sure.
It was really creepy. And, it was tough to know how to play that scene, to be honest.
Yeah.
It wasn't temp like that. Forget what they did in the temp, to be honest. I think it was more dramatic, but we had a ton of dramatic stuff around it. And there's just something, I don't care what your ideology is on any side, there is something intrinsically just gross and creepy about a kid carrying an AK-47. It's just wrong on so many levels. And there's something, I think what I was playing is the dystopian nature of that. And I think because of that, I went to this netherworld of Danny Elfman nightmare type stuff. It's part of what I knew.
Yeah. Well, that's what we are all building out of what we know, right? And this would work really well in this particular setting.
Yeah, that track was a bit of an outlier to the rest of the score, wasn't it?
I think maybe that's one of the reasons it stood out, outside of the fact that it was just haunting just visually as well. But when you're listening to it, it does kind of stand out in a different way, because there aren't as many things like that throughout the rest of the film and the soundtrack.
100%.
Yeah. There was a lot of really cool moments.
Covers a lot of ground.
I know. Yeah. There was something that sounded almost like a steel drum, but I was like, I don't think you're using steel drums.
Well, that was probably I'm guessing that was the hand pan. Was it a handpan?
Maybe.
I think that was the handpan.
That would make sense. I think it was resilience or something like that. That's the...
Yes. It's like a hung drum. Have you seen those? It's like a big orb-looking thing, and you kind of hit it with your hand. If I was in my studio, I'd show you.
This is the drum, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a bit of a steel pan idea.
I'm a cellist by nature, so I know a lot. That's my job. But there's certain percussion, and I just go, I don't think I know that one.
By the way, I learned how to play very basic cello for this project.
Very nice.
A lot of like effects and stuff like that, just because, obviously the vibrato is far from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was again, like early on in scoring this, I realized, okay, we can't use a sample for this. And even if I like hired a cellist to do it, I don't know that I would have had the freedom to experiment in the way that I would have, like just having a cello in front of me and messing about and creating different textures and stuff. So I'm kind of proud of some stuff that I came up with on it. I'm not sure if you noticed, but
I think there was some cello stuff near the end that I did notice, but I did notice a little bit. I didn't notice as much of the violin, because the violin soars in a very specific voice and has a different role in it.
Absolutely. Yeah, the cello is much more textural, for sure. The violin's much more front and center. My co-Victor is phenomenal out of this. I was like so happy to work with her, and I try to, every opportunity I have, I try to work with her. So that's really cool. She's great. She plays on all the big Hollywood sessions and stuff.
Sure. Did you play the piano in this particular?
I did. Yeah. It's all my piano playing. My wife is a brilliant pianist, and she usually plays on my scores. Sure. And this particular one, like, it was so experimental, and it was like, okay, do I now chart the stuff out and then give it to her to play? And it was just like another step in the chain, and I ended up just kind of playing it. I remember a couple cues, though. There's a big, long solo piano thing that happened three-quarters of the way through the film. It didn't really make it onto the soundtrack. And they actually used it in the end credits as well.
Yes, I did notice a lot of solo piano there.
Yes. So that cue, that's me playing, and I brought it home to her, and I was like, I don't think this is very good. Like, it's not really in time. It's not clean. If I charted this out, could you play it cleanly and do a better job and stuff? And like, sure enough, like I played it for her, and she's like, what are you talking about? Like, this is great.
Oh, that's great.
So it was a good boost of, confidence, boost of confidence.
You mentioned you had a bit of a jazz background in some ways with piano. There's an improv quality to it almost.
Somewhat, yeah.
Which probably is part of it.
Yeah, I was like taking themes and sort of messing around with them and improvising. I mean, that's kind of not all cues, but I would say, half the cues roughly that I write, give or take. There's some element of improv when you're writing, you're like improving into your computer and then like
creating
fixing and creating and, it's
some
all
things
started
stick,
there.
Some things don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You had really cool moments of what I would call phasing of like minimalism, where you're not quite in sync beat wise. Felt there was the beat started to disappear as things went along, almost caused more chaos.
I'm trying to remember. So I titled them right at the end. I'm trying to remember.
Oh, sure. And then you're like, what is this? So some of it was kind of solo piano, and I think but it was almost growing patterns and synthesizers and strings, swirls of sound almost, where it just started to kind of get out of sync a little bit.
Oh, yeah. It's cool. So that's me playing. I'm playing live flute, sort of flute like overtone stuff. Playing piano. There's also I'm playing lyra harp. Like it's going through a pedal board.
Okay.
The bass on that is a Juno-60. I'm actually live playing it. It is ebbing and flowing.
It felt like it was matching a little bit of that idea of some things are very structured, right? Especially in classical music, we have a lot of this is your beat, this is your meter, and then just with the emotion felt like it got more and more out of sync. So it was very effective in the particular use of it.
Yeah, it's all being informed by what's on screen, right? Yeah. And you try to make it a listenable experience in the soundtrack. But I feel like what was happening on screen, it was ebbing and flowing. So I tried to sort of fit into that arc. And I think what that meant was just these moments of sort of waves happening in various parts. I think that's maybe one of my favorite tracks.
Yeah, it was a really cool track.
It's pretty neat. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. At this point, how many instruments do you play? Because it sounds like you've played quite a few of
Oh,
them.
I mean, I tell everyone like I play a lot of instruments at a mediocre level
Sure.
and few instruments at a high level.
Right.
No, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I'm a musician that loves making music and learning,
Yeah.
and I'm a hobby instrument collector.
Yeah.
And like growing up and playing clarinets, like a flute was a sort of natural extension of that.
Sure.
Anything like string guitar sort of related, not string like cello, violin, viola related, but like anything that, plucky related, like that's
Sure.
an easy thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
all sort of translates in a way. You can kind of, yeah, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
a lot,
Yeah.
a lot.
That's great. Are there any that are
Yeah.
on your bucket list to learn?
My bucket list, yes. Okay, two big ones on my bucket list are the theremin.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
That's
let me say three. I'll say three, and
okay.
the last one will make you the happiest. Theremin is number
Mm-hmm.
one. The second is the pedal steel. I think the pedal
Oh,
steel is really
no.
cool. You know
Okay.
that? You know that one, yeah?
No, I don't
Oh,
think so.
it's like, yeah, check it out. It's like it's I used a lot in country music, but it can
Okay.
also be like really spooky and kind of
Sure.
cool, and it's really interesting. There's seven pedals or actually depending on the instrument, and
Okay.
you play it with a slide and then a pick. It's
Oh,
pretty.
okay. Yes, I think I do know what that is.
You'd for sure recognize it.
Yeah.
Ennio used to use it a ton in his film scores and stuff too. If that's yeah.
Cool.
Third is like I really want to learn how to play cello properly.
Nice.
So yeah. Doing a little bit on Soul of a Nation, I'm like, I really gravitate to this instrument.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's a whole universe.
It is a whole universe.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, I teach cello, so I understand like the
Cool.
range of people who want to learn it. Pretty fun.
Neat. Well, we should chat about the lessons.
Although doing it in person is always a better thing.
Way better, 100%. Yeah.
Especially for sound production, that does not
Oh,
translate super well over
correct.
online things.
Yeah, totally.
You mentioned that your wife is it's concert pianist, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned that she's played on a lot of soundtracks before. Does she give you feedback as far as this works better, or is it more of a collaboration, or does she just go, "Great job, I'll play what you wrote"?
She's like on the projects that she's played on.
Yeah.
She'll give me some feedback about how things are written,
Mm-hmm.
like written on the page.
Sure.
I would say that like she knows the process well enough to know that the music that I've written, number one, I'm not married to because it's at the behest of the director or producers, right?
Absolutely.
So if something's been approved enough along the way to be recorded, that it's probably not at this time. Yeah, it's probably not at the time to like give notes.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, she's like really good at reading what's on the page and bringing it to life. That's her. She's in the classical world. Yeah. Mm-hmm. She's a total master. So
I watched one or two of the videos on your website that you had.
Oh yeah, she's on one of those. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Oh, she's on a couple. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of the one solo piano thing, so I wrote that in like, oh my God, it must have been 2001 or 2002, like ages ago. And I had just like a MP3 or like wave of it sitting on my hard drive, and it wasn't notated at all. I just wrote it in small little bits and then recorded it and then cut it all together. And I played it for her. She was like, "What is this?" I was like, "I don't know. I wrote it. Not a big deal." I wrote it actually for like a ballet performance thing that a cousin of mine was choreographing. Nice. And she's like, "I want to play. Can you write this down and can you make a thing?" So that of course was like, I was like, "Okay, sure." And yes, notated it, which was a bunch of work, but also just sort of in that you realize, okay, well, this theme could go here, and we could do this, and we could sort of make it more of a thing. So, and it was great, and more of a solo work, Yeah. So she performed it as part of one of her recitals at UCLA for her PhD, which I was like so honored.
That's really cool.
It was really cool. Yeah. Really
that's a very special moment, especially for the PhD recital, because that's also a really big deal.
super big deal. And like, I'm pretty sure she had some notes on that one, but it wasn't major. It wasn't major.
At that point, you go, yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, you can tear it apart if you want.
Mm-hmm. I also saw that you've done a couple other different, just other projects outside of film writing. Is that something that you just enjoy to have as a different kind of creative space?
Yeah.
Then,
yeah. I think, talking about the Hallmark things, their shows, I feel there was one year in 2021. I find that, like, I never in my life thought I would have done 36 TV rom-com Hallmark movies.
That's quite a few.
It's not a small amount. I think they're really fun. I think they're great bread and butter
Absolutely.
jobs. I think they make a lot of people happy, and I'm realizing the real cultural value of that now more than ever, because you can get so dark so quickly.
My uncle loves Hallmark movies. I found that at my wedding 2 years ago. He's like, yeah, me and my wife watch it all the time. I was like, that was not what I was expecting.
Not at all. Yeah. Not at all. And like, yeah, it's just like a warm comfort blanket for people. And I think I think it really, strangely enough, it really feels like a social need. As cheesy as they are and all that stuff, I think they're really wonderful. But, I think creatively, right, as I was saying, like in 2021, I think I did 10 Hallmark movies that year. And I think I've done like roughly 4 to 7 or so every year since then. So I was finding a little burnout creeping in just creatively. And it's not to say that I didn't like to do them and I don't still like to do them, but it's to say that like I wanted to flex other muscles and get a little darker, or get a little weirder, or, more than the sort of parameters of a Hallmark movie would,
absolutely.
Say no more. I decided that, okay, I'll try to do at least one creative project a year that really feeds my creative goblins.
Sure.
Let's say. Yeah. And it's been a good formula. And, I feel like Soul of a Nation actually was that for this past year.
Absolutely.
It didn't start off as that, but what I realized, like, as it was sort of becoming more and more of a thing, and as we were going along, I was like, okay, this is really fulfilling a need in a very selfish way. Like, it was serving the film, but I was getting to do this music that, as I said, like, I always wanted to do. Pretty neat.
Yeah, you're not going to have that level of drama in a Hallmark movie.
Most likely not.
Most likely not. How did you get on the Hallmark circuit, if you will?
Okay, so I scored a digital series called Hentified in 2017 that ended up going to Sundance, got bought by Netflix. They made a Netflix version that I didn't do. But the gold from that was the music supervisor from the digital series version was friends with the head of music at that time at Hallmark.
Oh,
so
okay.
The three of us went out, we drank whiskey, and I said I'd love to do one. And he said, sure, I'll put you on the list and we'll see if we can get you one. And then I think a year or so went by and I did my first Hallmark, and it was still while I was working with Elfman. Sure. So I would kind of like work days with Elfman and then come home
work
moonlight and work on the Hallmark films. And that was 2019. And I think I did 2 films in 2019, and our first kid was born, like our daughter was born in 2019. Sure. And the Danny job was like it was very full on in the sense of hours. It was sort of, you're kind of on call if things needed to happen, you'd be on call. And that was really tough as a first time dad to be, what I needed to be was on call 24/7 for my wife, not my boss.
Right.
So, and I'd worked for him for about 5 years at that point. So,
sure.
I didn't feel like there was much room to move, and the writing was on the wall a little bit. So I had a good chat with him and sort of graciously stepped away and trained a replacement, and then started to get more Hallmark gigs. And one thing leads to the next.
That's right. I know that with the Hallmark movies, you've worked with a couple of different directors several times. Do you enjoy having that collaboration? Like, the more you've done things together, you kind of understand each other better?
It's funny, so I don't interface a ton with the directors.
Okay, just because of the nature of how the Hallmark thing works.
Yeah. I love it. I love interfacing with the directors. Love, love,
Mhm.
love, love, love. Because it's like, it's their baby, you know?
Right.
It's like they've been honing this thing from script stage, right? And often they'll have the most astute insights on what to do, when to do it, etc.
Yeah.
What's not working, what is, what needs to be covered up, what needs to be helped, what needs
Right.
not to, all that stuff.
Mhm.
But I've certainly worked with the same executive producers like a lot.
Okay. Yeah, that
So
makes sense.
those are typically the folks that I'm, that are giving me notes and we're going through the processes with. I think, there's a couple in particular that we sort of have a shorthand at this point, and we just
Sure.
kind of are making movies. The great one thing we've started to do in the last year or so is get the directors back involved in the notes
Mm.
process. And it's harder for me because I'm now
Mm.
doing 2 layers of notes, but I think the product at the end is way better. So this one that I just finished called Lost in Paradise, that's very much it's a great Hallmark movie. It has plane crashes and they're a desert island and they shot
Yeah.
it in Fiji and it's just
Uh-huh.
like there's pirates and it's all over the
Oh,
place,
that's awesome.
in the best way. It's like super fun. It is definitely not small town
Right, right.
boy and big city girl.
The
And like
Christmas, yeah, classic.
it's got the tropes, but it's just done in a way. There's all these dramatic moments and like the scoring of it was a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
there was almost like, if you know the John Williams Indiana Jones
Mm-hmm.
scores,
Yeah.
it's kind of like in that landscape a little bit, which is, as a composer, I'm just like, I get to do what? Yeah. And that was sort of helped along, I think, by having the director come back in and be like, no, 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 we need to do this thing. It's going to make the
Sure.
film so much better.
Because you have quite the variety, but it's still the tropes of it's a royal wedding situation. You have to have your brass for your royals, or we're in New York City, so you have to have more of that bass and guitar kind of sound.
Yeah,
Are
yeah,
there
yeah.
certain things that they ask you, we want this trope? Or is it one of those things that you've done enough at this point that you just have an idea of kind of what
I
musically
think it,
matches what they want?
I think it's the latter more than anything. I think it's very linear storytelling in a way.
Hmm.
Not that it's a bad thing, but I think what that means typically is, maybe except for this last one, Lost in Paradise, is like, usually you're matching the place
Yeah.
with,
Hmm.
with the sonic landscape. So yeah, indeed, like New York is jazz or hip hop or whatever the sort of New
Hmm.
York tropes are. LA is the like pop and the kind
Sure.
of thing. Nashville country, small town acoustic guitar, and like all that
Right.
sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, I watched
Um,
I think it was for 2 years ago. It was Hanukkah on Rye,
oh yeah,
which
yeah,
was
yeah.
that was
That was
cute.
It was cute. It was really cute, and yeah, that was a lot of wailing clarinet and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
exactly.
I played clarinet.
Hey.
Yeah, yeah. The Hanukkah ones are fun because it's like they're so sweet, and it's such a Hallmark movie, but it's also
Hmm.
like they're trying to hit all the tropes of it, but they're
Oh
also
yeah.
like, here's Hanukkah, here's Hanukkah,
Right.
here's.
And here's your cute Jewish family over here. The battle of the
That-
grandmothers, the
that's right.
bouquets, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Well, in a similar way, because you've done several Christmas ones.
This
Um,
is true.
do you get to choose which Christmas songs constantly kind of come back? Like "We Wish You a Merry Christmas"
Uh,
or
uh,
different arrangements of those?
not really. I mean, there's a group of Christmas songs you can pull from that are in the public domain, obviously, right?
Sure, that makes sense.
And I'll usually maybe pick one or two or three
Mm-hmm.
throughout to sort of sparkle in and do an arrangement of.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of find it fun and easy to do that stuff
Sure.
because it's like the music's already there. You're just
Yeah.
doing an arrangement and you're just having it fit the moment,
The mood.
the mood in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Um,
guess you're not going to go to really old Christmas carols from like the 1500s because no one would
yeah,
recognize those. So you have to do things that are
that's right.
public
Yeah,
domain, but still relatively familiar.
that's right. Like the older stuff, like the really old stuff, tends to be like the older you go, the more religious it tends to go.
That's true.
And then there's sort of the sweet spot is kind of like mid 1800s to
Mm-hmm.
early 20th century, I would say.
Sure. Deck the halls, things like
Yes.
that. Is there some kind of project that you're working on for this or hoping to do this coming year that you're allowed to talk about?
You mean creative project or film
Yeah,
project? Yeah,
either.
creative project. I mean, I've been toying with the idea a lot of, I know it might sound kind of off in left field, but I kind of want to make a rock album.
Sure.
My dad passed away 3 years ago, and we
Mm,
were super close. And he was one of the main people that kind of got me into music and really supportive of me having a career in music and stuff. And he used to write all these like pretty funny parody songs,
hmm.
usually kind of in rock. I used to sort of do the music
Sure.
behind them, and he would sing. And the production value of them is pretty low.
Sure.
But I thought, like, wouldn't it be fun to go back through all these various songs that he'd written over the years and like really produce them,
Yeah.
So they would be this kind of artifact in time that
Hmm.
could be passed down or whatever. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's maybe the thing. I also am. I don't know if you saw the Elements thing on my
Yeah.
side as well. So yeah,
Hmm.
the orchestral thing is done.
Okay.
I'm also working on like a fuller arrangement of that, which includes like synths and sort of, well, there's a whole visual element of it. So that's been very much
Oh,
a labor of love.
sure.
And had Soul of a Nation not come along, that project would have been done. But I'm
Well,
happy
that's
Soul
how it
came along.
goes,
So
right? Yeah.
yeah,
Deadlines
yeah,
with one thing kind of
things will
supersede the
get
other
pushed.
one.
But so yeah, that's a neat project though. It's what I've done is I wrote for orchestra about 10 minutes of music in total of the four different elements,
Hmm.
and then I'm taking the orchestral stuff, cutting it up
Hmm.
and running it through synths and chopping it and turning it around and doing all kinds of stuff, adding
Hmm.
stuff over top, and then creating these longer arrangements. And then I realized, like, oh, you know what it's missing? It's missing a whole visual element. So I'm working with an art director, and
Yeah.
we're doing just really creative, sort of out there
Uh-huh.
stuff. So yeah, the air one will be gorgeous
Oh,
and
sure. That one
flying
was
through the
at the
air.
beginning, right? Of
I
the,
think so. Of
yeah.
the website. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
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 It had a Copeland like sound at the
Yes.
beginning.
Good ear. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And then the water one I think has there's a bit of a James Horner moment in it too.
Sure. How can you not, right?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's the
Or that,
DNA.
or it's like lots of arpeggios I know for cellos, like
That's right.
we're like
That's right. Yeah. 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 It's so funny. The stuff that we sort of fall in love with as kids, it just stays with us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Hmm.
Really, really neat. I'm witnessing firsthand my 6-year-old daughter learning how to play
Yeah.
the piano.
Uh-huh.
And she hasn't taken formal lessons. She's taking violin lessons more
Sure.
formally, but she's just sort of messing around with the keyboard
Yeah.
now.
Hmm.
It's so neat. She's playing like Sugar Plum Fairies, like the melody song.
Yes.
And it's so cool because she'll figure it out by ear. It's
Hmm.
good, fine. And then she'll go and modulate it. And then she'll figure it out in another key. And I'm like, oh my God,
That's amazing.
that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool.
That's really great. I can't do that very well.
Maybe I'm just a proud dad, but I
No,
think that
that's
it's
awesome.
maybe there's some like cool musical stuff in there. So
Yeah. Yeah, and just also is probably seeing the love of music as you're filling around what you listen
yeah,
to.
yeah,
That's really cool.
yeah, yeah.
Speaking of, my last question that I usually like to
Sure,
finish things off is
sure.
what kind of things are you listening to right now? I know some
What?
composers don't because they need space in their brain,
Oh,
but
100%. 100%. What am I listening to? Well, how about composers with young kids?
yeah,
So
yeah,
what,
right.
yeah. What am I listening
Bluey?
to that's not
Yeah,
Peppa Pig and Bluey and like
yeah.
all that stuff? I'm kind of digging the One Battle After Another score, the Johnny Greenwood score. I'm a big
Oh,
Johnny Greenwood fan.
okay.
Um, There Will Be Blood, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
think he's a total genius. I think that's been my favorite recent score.
Sure.
What am I listening to also? I've been loving this Daniel Lanois album called Shine. That's
Hmm.
do you know who Daniel Lanois is?
No.
He was a producer. He produced like U2, a bunch of people.
Sure.
Really cool career. And he's been a solo artist along the way in fits and
Mm.
starts. And he made an album, I want to say 15, 20 years ago called Shine. It's really, really pretty.
Mm.
And yeah, I've been going just spinning that one a bunch.
Nice.
It's been fun. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't have to be something that just came out, right? It can be something that's been around for a while or
Oh my goodness.
go really far back.
Absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, you're absolutely right that a lot of times I just don't listen to music and because I need space. And it's, especially, for Soul of a Nation, like we did vinyl mixes. I'm working at Atmos mixes now. It's like you're just listening to stuff all the time and your brain's working so hard to figure out what needs to come up or down or what's right or what's not happening yet and all that stuff. It's just to sit back and just listen to music. It's like, honestly, you know what I listen to sometimes? Just the Bach on as well.
Yeah.
There's something so like meditative and spiritual and calming to me about putting on the Well-Tempered Clavier.
Yeah. It's one of the greats for a reason.
It's so simple, but it's not simple in a bad way, but it's beautifully architected and, it calms me down.
Yeah.
It just rests my brain.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. Well, thank you. This has been a wonderful hour of just getting to talk to you about your music and your process.
Thank you so much, Ruth. This is I really, really enjoyed chatting for sure. No, this has been really, truly a pleasure. I've loved the questions and the conversation. And you're very, even if it's not your main job, you're very good at it. So
well, thank you.
Appreciate it.
It's always fun to learn and talk to other musicians, learn about everybody's process.
Yeah, it's all different, but all somehow very similar.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So, thank you again.
Okay. All right. We'll take care.
Thanks again to Mikel for coming on to the world of soundtracks. You can find Mikel and a lot of his music, including his creative projects such as Elements, on his website, mikelhurwitz.com. That's Mikel with a K. Or Mikel Hurwitz on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. You can find and join the World of Soundtracks community on the Facebook group World of Soundtracks, or on Twitter and Instagram at WO Soundtracks. Please like and subscribe, share with friends, and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Amazon. I highly recommend subscribing so you don't miss when the next episode comes out, as it has been a little bit more sporadic. Until next time, happy listening! A special thanks to all those involved to make this podcast happen, especially Edith Mudge for the title music and Lindsay Bergsma for the graphics. This is World of Soundtracks.